What is going on, everybody? I'm Luso back here with another video, and in today's video we got to talk about all of the craziness that has happened in this year's NBA free agency. There have been so many signings thus far, but we're not even going to start with that. We got to start off with the trades, the trade speculation, the trade rumors. Let's get into all of that. Kevin Durant has requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. Other reports have listed the Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat as the two preferred teams for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant looking to join the two top teams in their respective conferences. I cannot say I'm surprised. The Nets are essentially looking for a king's ransom for Kevin Durant. It looks like they're asking for a young star, a plethora of picks, as well as anything else you have to put in the trade to make it work. So with that in mind, I don't think the Nets are going to want to take a DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson type package from the Phoenix Suns. I'd expect them to want Devin Booker, and at that point, it doesn't really make sense to trade KD there. And the same goes for the Miami Heat. I mean, their most valuable asset is Bam Adebayo, and because of some rookie max extension rule, you cannot trade Bam Adebayo to the Nets because they already have Ben Simmons. But at the same time, the Nets control their own destiny. They control their own fate. Kevin Durant doesn't have a no-trade clause, so he cannot pick where he wants to go. He just signed an extension that makes him a Brooklyn Net through 2026. Also, Kevin Durant doesn't really seem like the type of player to hold out, if he doesn't get his way. I don't see that in him, so... And honestly, I see this working out for the Nets, and I think we'll all just move past this. I think ultimately the Nets, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, they'll all have a sit down, and some news will break that they had a change of heart and they're looking to beef up their roster in hopes of winning a championship. And I understand the Nets want to move on from this craziness that has happened, but I don't really get why they wouldn't just want to run it back. I mean, you're going to have Ben Simmons coming back healthy. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Joe Harris is going to be coming back from his injury. Kyrie Irving is hopefully going to be, bought into the season. There's no COVID, restrictions that's going to keep him out for half the year. So, yeah, if I had to guess, I think Kevin Durant will remain a Brooklyn Net. I think Kyrie Irving will remain a Brooklyn Net, at least for this season. They'll run it back and hopefully make a deep playoff push. Or they can just trade him, get a king's ransom, add whatever you get from that package to Ben Simmons, and be set for the next decade. All right, so the next trade I want to talk about is the Dejounte Murray trade. This trade happened a little bit after the Kevin Durant debacle occurred. So Dejounte Murray got traded to the Atlanta Hawks for Danilo Gallinari, and I believe it was 3 or 4 first-round picks. For the Spurs, it makes sense. They want to tank. Greg Popovich is going to be playing what I believe to be his last season in the NBA. This year, I can't even pronounce his name. We're just going to call him Victor. He's supposed to be the star-studded, the best prospect to come into the draft since LeBron James, post-Tim Duncan era, to hover around that 9th, 10th, 11th spot when they were in the lottery. So they never really got a chance at a top 5 or a top 3 talent. This trade allows that. It seems like both Dejounte and the Spurs wanted this to happen. And to come away with multiple first-round picks, I mean, that's a plus for the Spurs. You can always trade those for more assets, attach those to players to, make trades more enticing. Now, for the Atlanta Hawks, this is where things get really interesting. I'm really intrigued to see how Trae Young and Dejounte Murray pair up, because Dejounte can't really play off ball. He does add playmaking, he does add shot creation, but he doesn't have a 3-ball. So it's going to be a lot of slashing, I believe. And on the flip side, Trae Young has been an on-ball player his entire career. He did it at Oklahoma. He's done it since he's gone to the Hawks. So I want to see how he's going to operate playing more off-ball. Either way, though, I understand this move for the Hawks because you had to do something. After making the Eastern Conference Finals run, you plummeted. You were a play-in team. You barely made the playoffs, and you lost in 5 games to the Miami Heat. And the things that went wrong in the playoffs, you saw it. It was a lack of shot creation on the team. Dejounte Murray improves that. And now it's about beefing up the roster around him. It's about DeAndre Hunter staying healthy. They already made a move to trade Kevin Huerter, getting back a future first-round pick. Maybe they can use that pick in another trade to add more shot creation. We got to see what's going to happen with guys like John Collins and Clint Capella. Their names have been in trade rumors for the entire offseason. Dejounte is only like 26, and Trae Young, I believe, is 23. So you have multiple years to see if this is going to work out. If it doesn't, you can look to move on for Dejounte. You obviously won't be getting the same 3 first-round picks that you got, but and trading picks in today's NBA is like, I don't know, man. You can't put a name to a pick, so I don't really see it as some crazy deal that, is franchise-altering for the Atlanta Hawks. Last trade I'm going to talk about in today's video happened just a few hours ago. The Minnesota Timberwolves traded for Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert got traded to the Wolves for, I believe, Patrick Beverley, Jared Vanderbilt, Leonardo Balmero was in the trade, Walker Kessler was in the trade, and a plethora of future first-round picks. And mind you, those picks are unprotected. Now, looking at this deal from the Timberwolves side, it's all about adding defense. You now allow Karl-Anthony Towns to play the 4 spot and not play the 5 spot where he struggled at times on the defensive end. Anthony Towns is a pretty clumsy player. I mean, he's not really good at shuffling his feet and such. And a lot of the times he would just foul the opponent once they got into the paint, which led to foul trouble. That was a big problem in this year's playoffs because there were a lot of times where, like, D'Lo wasn't really, being himself, and Anthony Edwards went into scoring droughts, or the team in general. And they needed Karl-Anthony Towns to, get them out of those situations, but he just couldn't because he was sitting on the bench with 3 fouls, or sitting on the bench with 4 fouls, or 5 fouls, or even fouled out completely. Now you have one of, if not the best defensive player anchoring that paint. And I don't think there's going to be a situation in Utah where it's only Rudy Gobert on the defensive end. I mean, the Timberwolves just signed Kyle Anderson. They still got Jaden McDaniels, who's blossoming into this great NBA player. And the offseason is still young, so there is time to make more moves to add more defensive pieces. I'm really intrigued to see how Karl-Anthony Towns plays at the 4. He does have the foot speed to take advantage of those bigger, slower power forwards, as well as the ability to shoot over those smaller, quicker guys. This trade being a success will depend on the progression of Anthony Edwards. Edwards has to blossom into an all-star, which I wholeheartedly believe he will. If he can do that, you already have Cat, who's a perennial all-star, all-NBA player. You got Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. That's a 4th seed in the Western Conference. Outside of those 3, the biggest question mark is D'Angelo Russell and what he can do. Since getting to Minnesota, I mean, his play has diminished, his role has diminished, but some of that isn't really his fault. His role changed. He's not a number 1 option that he was in Brooklyn, or the number 1 option that he was in Golden State. Now he's deferring to Anthony Edwards at times and Karl-Anthony Towns. The pick and roll game is D'Lo's bread and butter. It's where he's found the majority of his success. So having a guy like Rudy Gobert be your screen setter, be your roller, hopefully that pick and roll game improves. I do understand why the Timberwolves made this trade because, I mean, they've made the playoffs like twice in the last 15 years or so. The way the team is constructed right now, I mean, this is probably the 2nd best team they've had over the last 20 or so years. They had a great season last year. It was very successful. Let's see what they do again this year. And now for the Utah Jazz, it's about time you start to retool. Never really understood the rationale behind trading Donovan Mitchell. He's a 26-year-old league guard entering his prime. It's all about, building the roster around him, and these trades can help you do that. Over the last 2 days, the Jazz have acquired 7 first-round picks that they can attach to players, like I said earlier, to further entice certain deals. I don't know if guys like Malik Beasley or Pat Bev will, stay long on the team, but either way, that's more trade assets to get better players that fit the team. Now, I don't believe the Utah Jazz are done. They still have Mike Conley on the team. They still have Bogdan Bogdanovic that they can move. Jordan Clarkson, 6th man of the year, they may look to move him as well. If you have to take a hit for 1 year and then revamp next year, you got to do it. Refill that core, implement a new system, bring a new culture, and hopefully this new direction brings more winning basketball. That free agency is kind of dwindling down now. The major free agents have signed their extensions. Players are getting paid. And Bradley Beal is the 2nd highest paid player in the NBA now, which is you can take that how you want to. Malcolm Brogdon got traded to the Boston Celtics for essentially nothing. So yeah, they're definitely the favorites right now out of the Eastern Conference. Either way though, I hope you guys are enjoying free agency as much as I am. But like I say in every video, if you guys did like the video, please make sure to leave a like down below. Subscribe if you are new. I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace.